What's up, dude?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. How's it going, man?
Going good, dude. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, dude. I've been watching you for a while. I was like, let's get you on here.
Yeah, dude, I was, I don't know if you could tell by my response, I was pretty psyched to get the invite. So, yeah, thank you.
It seems like you could use the boost on your TikTok. So I'm trying to throw a bone.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man.
I mean, not to boost your ego or anything, but you set the record for the lowest amount of followers I've had on this podcast so far. You are officially the smallest creator.
No, actually, I was just, actually kind of just bragging. My mom watches all my TikToks and stuff, and she's seen you before. I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to be on Nick Foster's podcast tonight. And I was actually kind of bragging about the fact I was like, I'm by far the smallest creator he's had on, so I must have something going for me.
Yeah, this podcast is booming. We're on a downward trajectory of talent.
He's like, oh, who can we bring in? Who's a sucker enough to come on here?
No, it's all good. That's kind of what I want to do with this, is just have all kinds of TikTokers, big and small, just really kind of anybody that I feel like, hey, I like what you're doing. I'm going to reach out and just have a convo with you. And I think it'll give a better perspective instead of just talking to all these big TikTokers. Not that we're all like egomaniacs yet, because we're all kind of just figuring this out, but it's good to kind of have the different perspectives of everything.
No, right on, man. Like I said, I really appreciate the invite. I'm a fan, man. I've been watching you for a while.
Yeah, I remember when you did a duet with me that I wanted to respond to, or you did a shout out where you were like, "Hey, thanks for following me back. I want to get in OnlyFans too, but I need a girlfriend first."
Yeah.
I was like, I like this guy. All right. I was going to do a funny duet about that, but I get so like backed up with all my mentions, and then it's like I'm in all these controversies all the time. So I'm trying to find like the right time, and then another controversy happens. I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. And then it's like too late. And then I got banned, and this is how it goes.
Nah, I get that game, man. I've got like I did before I had to delete it so I could get my stitches back, but I had like 300, what are those called? Drafts that I always intend to post, but then they just never get out, and then the time has passed, and you're like, oh, that was a good idea. Why did I?
Dude, tell me about it. I had my account deleted, and I had like 600 or 700 drafts. They're all gone.
Those are gone.
They're gone forever.
Now. You can't get them back.
The magic. Man, I had some good ones in there too. Not that I'm bitter. It's okay.
I mean, you bounced back so fast, man. That was impressive. That was truly impressive. It makes me feel like better about potentially, because I mean, I'm not on the level you are, but I get violations all the time, man. So I'm like, it could happen at any moment. So it's good to see that you can bounce back fairly quickly. Yeah,
it definitely put me at ease. And then with the Donaldage situation, he bounced back even stronger. And I just feel like that's kind of waking us all up to, the account doesn't matter. We have a personality on here. People know who we are. And once they know who you are, you can't stop us.
Totally. No, totally, man. It's definitely reassuring, especially with that other concert. He's now got like 2 accounts that immediately got up to like 1 million. So it's like, it's reassuring for sure.
It was tough at first though. When I got banned, I was like, oh my God, this sucks so bad.
I can't even imagine, man.
I was like, I've been working on this. I know.
$500,000 is I'm only at like 25. I don't think I'm about to hit 30 right now, but that's like,
wait, what? Get this guy off here. Can we get some talent in here, please?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep rubbing it in. So what are you trying to do with your TikTok? I mean, I've been watching you for a while. I like what you're doing. I'm always curious, like what people's growth strategy is, why they think they might not be growing, or do you feel you are? Because I haven't been watching all your numbers, but I feel like you should be bigger.
I actually get that comment a lot. The thing is, I was pretty consistently growing for about like a month and a half. I was getting like a minimum of 500 a day. And then right at the beginning of August, all of a sudden it cut down and I couldn't get like more than 30 a day. And I noticed a bunch of people are saying that like all my shares are turned off, and which is incredibly frustrating because
we had the same problem I had on The Martian, Austin Marshall, yesterday. I just uploaded it today, and he's a political TikToker, around 70, 80,000 followers, and he thinks the same thing. All his saves are off and shares are off, but I recognize what's going on. It's when your videos are under 10,000 views, they're all turned off. TikTok does not let them turn on until they hit 10,000 views and like wait a day for whatever reason.
Which is like, yeah, really strange. When did they change that? Because that definitely wasn't always the case.
It was a few months ago because I recognized it happening with me too. I was like, why are all my things turned off? And it was only when it reached certain thresholds. So I'm assuming it's one, maybe to cut down on some type of bullying, or maybe some type of just bot activity of being able to just save people's videos the second some big creator pushes something out.
Yeah, because I think they did have an issue with a lot of people just doing that share cancel other like hundreds of times on certain videos just to boost their numbers, which obviously I guess is a problem they don't want having because it kind of artificially pushes videos forward into the algorithm that they don't necessarily want. But it seems that like a couple of my videos, they doesn't have like they're under 10,000 and they don't have that. It's usually like if I just posted one video of like a bug in my house and it immediately jumped up to
I saw that one.
And I was like, oh my God, like that has nothing to do with the content I make.
I know, the randomest shit. Because that's what I was doing. I was going through your account, trying to get a feel for like what's going on your page. I was actually pretty shocked by how low your views are. Because I maybe it's just when you recognize somebody on here, because I followed you for a while, so I just think of you as a familiar face. And I'm like, damn, these are actually pretty low. And then, of course, I'm like, oh, here's a good video, tons of views. And I'm like, oh, it's a bug on its back. What the fuck?
I was like, what the?
That's
I've heard
so
other
TikTok.
people talk about like how like you get put in a certain niche, and then if you like post videos outside of that niche, like you're not gonna get any views. And then I do that. I'm like, what niche is that? What is
your niche? Is now bug? Uncle Bugman.
Uncle Bugman. I mean, it's not what I wanted, but I guess beggars can't be choosers.
What's the backstory on your name, Uncle Dan? You're not Dan.
No, I'm not Dan. Actually, that's kind of just like a random thing. Like several months ago, I was just sitting down with some of my friends, tripping on some mushrooms, and I was just telling. I don't know. I was just got into this character, and I was just telling stories, and they just started calling me Uncle Dan, and then I don't know. I kind of just fit into it, and then. Dude, I just randomly changed my name to it. And
first off, can I just say that is so refreshing that you just said that, because no bullshit. I took a little mushroom before this podcast. My girlfriend has these chocolates and we were going to microdose. And I think I took a slightly heavy dose that I started and I forgot I took it. And I started feeling really weird about an hour ago. And I almost canceled the podcast because I was like, I'm going to be fucking weird. And I don't know if this guy's going to understand. So if I am acting a little straight, I think I'm okay. But I'm actually on mushrooms right now. So don't do drugs, kids.
Honestly, I'm a big fan of the psychedelics, so I'm all for that, man.
Oh,
bravo.
That'll be a fun conversation then. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the psychedelics too. Does that really inform your worldview?
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's still changing my worldview, honestly, actively, because I think I don't like to just view it as like a recreational thing. I kind of think it's like a tool to kind of understand yourself and the world around you. And if you kind of go into it with that, you're going to learn something every time you have experience. So it's definitely strongly affected myself.
Mostly mushrooms?
Yeah, I mean, mostly I mushrooms, a little bit of LSD, some DMT is when you get into that's the real kicker right there. But that's not always available, so mushrooms is probably the most consistent.
I want to do the DMT so badly. I had like a slight experience with somebody who made like a home batch, and I just never really had some breakthrough experience. I felt a little strange, but nothing to write home about, and I would love to have that experience. I just don't know where to get it.
I don't know if this is okay to show, but
it's all good.
This is not weed in this pen. So
DMT.
That is a DMT vape pen right there.
Talk to the aliens right now and describe them.
Let's just blast off, man. Yeah, that's.
I'm for it. I
got the stuff on deck, man.
Yeah,
I do.
No, I'm a big fan of the mushrooms. Do you go deep? Like, what's your normal dose?
So I mean, I like to mix it up a lot, but I'm definitely someone who likes to really push the limits. I've done a lot before, but I usually like to do a minimum of like between 3 and 5 grams, because I feel like that's when you get the spiritual experience.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
people
when
never
you
know.
leave the planet.
They have no idea. A lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I do mushrooms," and they do like 1 or 2 grams, and they're like, "Oh, it's fun." I'm like, that is not the breakthrough.
And that's not what it's not going to get. I mean, you can have a good time on 1 to 2, but it's not going to be that
Yeah.
life-changing experience that I'm talking about.
I agree. That's exactly the number I tell my friends is like, you need to eat like 3.5 grams minimum, and you are going to have a crazy life-changing experience.
Yeah, you can, man. You really can. I mean, I've done way more than that, and I've definitely found my limits in that stuff. But
What's the limit? Like, you talking like a quarter?
well,
or
I
less
don't know
than
if
that?
there. I don't know exactly what the limit is, but I've pushed up to like 13, and that's like it can be
Damn.
fun for a little bit, and then you just
Whoa,
completely
wait,
forget
wait.
who you
You're
are.
talking like a half ounce of mushrooms?
Yeah, man. So I did that, and for about 30 minutes, it was the most amazing experience of my life. Like, it was incredible. Like, I felt like I was like the Buddha. And
Wow.
then like 5 minutes later, after like feeling like I'm like, this is the most amazing I could ever feel, I couldn't remember. Like, every 30 seconds I was having to remind myself what my name was. And after that, it was just like, who am I? Where am I?
You get those
Oh.
like spirals where it like loops around and it kind of comes
Yeah.
back to what it was, and you're like going these waves of like, I'm in this realm and then I'm like back in this feeling, and you can never hold on to it.
It's kind of like sand through your fingers. Kind
Yeah.
of like when you wake up from a dream where you're trying to hold on to it and it just slowly like slips away. That's kind of
Dude, that's
that was
deep,
happening
man.
to my identity.
I can't imagine. I've had the Buddha experience where I felt like I was the God force and the infinite connection to the universe, and everything is me and nothing, I'm everything all at once, and it's all fine and time doesn't exist. And like, I've had that feeling, but it was nowhere close to 13 grams. So I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
It's incredible and it's terrifying at the same time, because when you forget who you are.
So,
I mean, once you kind of get to that point, though, it's like not really that scary anymore, because you're like, I don't even know who I am. Who
are you though? Who is anybody?
Who am I? Honestly, that's kind of why I feel like I'm an actor, because I'm like, it's kind of just reassuring when you can get a script in your hand and you're like, I know exactly who I am right now. I am this person and this is what I'm doing. Because otherwise in life, you're like, who is Ryan? Who is Uncle Dan?
I know. I only know you as Uncle Dan, so Ryan doesn't even exist. It's a philosophical question I like too. It's like, who am I? We all have this. I have my personality and I have what I portray to the world. But if you strip all that away and you strip my connections away and my name away and you just put me in the middle of nowhere, like, who am I really? What am I really?
Yeah. And there's all those things that about your personality that you kind of keep to yourself that you don't really show to the world. And it's like, how much of that is you, and what value does that have when people are like looking at your personality and you're not exposing like a large part of yourself? It's like, how does that affect their perception of who you are, and how much of their perception of who you are is actually relevant to who you actually are? It's just kind of like, there's a million different versions of you.
Even is who I am I just pretending? Am I just a character? Am I even I think I'm an authentic person, but also maybe I just developed this as an act over many, many years, and I just acted out very well,
You just like what is the word? Compartmentalize?
Yeah,
compartmentalize parts
compartmentalize.
of you. Yeah, there you go. And then like there's certain parts of you that you just don't think are acceptable to other people, so you kind of just like hide them down,
and yet everybody goes through that struggle all the time, and we're all pretending to be these like civilized people. And if everybody could just, and I mean, we're civil, you want to be I don't mean in the polite or like, evil sense, but everybody is kind of putting on an act, and we all wish we could kind of let those guards down, but we're always pretending and we're always putting it up. And I think that's when you really feel connected to people, is when you can let that down, even for a moment, just to kind of have these connected experiences. But even those are so few and far between, because both people have to be on the same page and be in that same vibe.
Which is why mushrooms really help with that.
Yes.
They can help get you to that vibe. You
ever try Molly or ecstasy?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've definitely dabbled in that. That has like a really, specifically with like Molly, it really ups your empathy and your ability to kind of connect with other people's like emotions specifically. So when you do a little bit of mixing with the two, what is that called?
Candy flipping.
Candy flipping.
Not that I'm an expert on these drugs, but
not that I've ever done that before, but I've heard it's
allegedly
pretty cool. Word on the street, word on the street is it's pretty cool. So
I've actually never done the candy flipping. I just know about it, and I would love to try it, but never actually done it.
it's kind of, no, it's really an eye-opening experience, because you there is kind of still that level of the possibility of kind of having a quote unquote bad trip, where you can have like some kind of negative, thought processes when going through it. And when you add in like a little bit of Molly, it kind of like, it puts the rose colored glasses on your trip. So it's kind of like takes away any possibility of having those negative thoughts, and kind of just really keeps you on the positive wavelength.
That is probably the benefit of it. That's the magic of the Molly. It just always makes you so loving and so accepting, and just, dude, I'll go out.
The world ain't that bad. The world ain't that bad,
And other people can see it too, even if they don't know you're like rolling. Like, I go out and I'll fucking take that drug and I'll be having the time of my life, and I'm just glowing with positive energy, and people just vibe with me. They just come right
really
in. Like,
do.
they can sense this guy is great right now.
This is a positive guy. I want to be like this guy.
Yeah, you would never get that vibe from my TikToks, but I'm a very open, friendly person.
I get a fun vibe from your TikToks.
No, that is quite the character. If we're talking about putting on characters, I mean, that's an act too. It's me, but it's also, a heightened character.
No, I'm the same way, but it's not always the same character. But it's definitely a lot of times a character. I think in my bio it says, "Nothing I say is serious. I'm being serious," and I feel like that's a perfect explanation.
It really pins it down there.
Yeah.
So you're an actor. I didn't really even know that.
Mm-hmm.
You been in anything that we know?
So I've been in mostly in like commercials. Like, if you know the video game Fallout 76, like I was in the national like campaign for that one, which was really cool. So I got to be in like a power suit and everything, do the motion sensor. But like yeah, it's mostly commercials that I've been doing so far. I've been in like a couple like smaller like independent films, and a couple of them are on like Amazon Prime and stuff.
And that's your career path that you want? Are you out in Hollywood or LA?
Yeah, I've been living out here. It will be actually on the 26th. It will be 4 years. So
good timing.
Out here from Chicago.
I'm sure it's great with this coronavirus.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the city.
I would imagine.
Or LA in general. I mean, in California in general. It's just kind of like, just the people's attitude out here is really kind of shitty. It's either like really self-centered, or just like way too far, like crazy radical on the left. And it's just like, well, I don't even know how you can think these things and be like a rational human being, but I guess a lot of them aren't. So
have you considered moving somewhere else or trying a different way to act, or do you have to be out there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we'll see how the industry recovers after like Corona and stuff, because I know a lot of people are leaving the city. It really depends on where the castings are happening, because like my main goal is to mostly like be on TV. So all the like, even like the shows, like I'm from Chicago, there's like a lot of shows that shoot in Chicago, but they only cast like co-stars there, so like the smaller roles. So all like the leads and everything still get cast out here. So until that changes, I'm probably going to be here.
Yeah.
But I'd love to move somewhere else. I hate the city.
I'm sure, especially now. I see everybody's fleeing out there, and with the taxes so insane, and then all the rules of shutting everybody down, and the city's on fire. Well,
now they're like tweeting that we should like turn our
the power
after
outages.
3 o'clock. I'm like, no,
God,
thank you.
That is
it's
awful.
like 115 right now. I'm not turning my air off.
Bro, I give you half my money to run this city. I'm keeping my AC on.
Yeah, man. It's
we're paying these rents just to be able to live in this beautiful place, and I can't even go outside. I'm turning my AC on.
Yeah, and I'm paying like the exact same amount of rent as my sister lives out in North Carolina, and I'm like paying the same amount for like half the space and half the rooms. Yeah. It's just like it's very frustrating.
Well, maybe you should move. I mean, I think TikTok is a great way. If you boost up your audience, that's a great foot in the door.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get that.
So what are you trying to do with that? What do you think you're going to do to try to grow your TikTok? Are you in a niche other than bugs?
Other than bugs, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of just like a little bit like similar to, I guess. I mean, I've definitely really been inspired by like the stuff that Papa Gut does. I really like his his like channel, and it's kind of really cool that he's been able to go like just into like streaming full time right now. I don't know if that's necessarily my goal, but I would like to kind of start maybe trying to branch out into that area, because having a more of a like, I love doing this, and to be able to get like an actual income from it would be wonderful. Because right now, obviously, I'm spending a lot of time on this, but it's not really paying any bills. So,
have you talked to Papa Gut?
No. He's I feel like he's got to know who I am, but I haven't been able to get him to follow me. I haven't really been able to like get another, like I've made a couple like duets with his stuff too, and he'll like comment on it or something, but no
that is
followers.
Strange, yeah, because I was trying to think like, what is your niche? And I put you in the same category as Papa Gut too. You're like you kind of respond to people and kind of break down their points, and you'll point out their hypocrisy or some flaw in their logic. It seems very similar. He has to have seen you at some point.
Yeah, I kind of like to maybe a little bit more kind of be more like comedic and kind of like just silly than Papa Gut is, but yeah, overall I think it's relatively similar. And
Papa Gut, yo, meet Uncle Dan, all right, bro? He's pretty cool. He's in the same niche, Let him on your show. Bring him on your Twitch and, get to know each other.
At least follow me, man. Like
he was super thrilled when I followed him. Give him throw him a little nugget,
I was very excited, and I would be very excited if Papa gave me a follow too. I kind of honestly, I really thought, because people, I get my, obviously you get your like mentions and stuff. People are always commenting on his videos like, oh, hey, have you seen Uncle Dan? Like all the time. I get these mentions all the time on his videos. And I'm like, Pop, I can listen to your followers.
I know. Yo, I'm right here. I do feel like he's probably a good person to pick his brain as far as like the type of content that you make, because he's obviously been doing that for a while and it worked for him. But also, on his verified account, I think he's pretty much stopped doing a lot of that stuff and has kind of slowed down. And he feels like his account is kind of dying on that. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he definitely seems to be moving more to his secondary account. And I'm just wondering if maybe there's some advice there from him.
Yeah, I mean, because I actually have two accounts, and it's actually funny because my other account has more followers than my Uncle Dan account does. But I just kind of like random shit post on that one, and it's actually funny because that account is like 80% women who follow it.
That's why it's successful, man. The shit posting is the move.
Yeah, apparently, because you get too serious, and then it's just like I feel like it turns a lot of people off. I don't know, but
I also recommend stirring up a lot of controversy.
Yeah, I gotta just step on the American flag, man. That's what
Oh yeah, that's so funny. What did you think of that?
I thought, because people are such fucking hypocrites when they like. They're totally chill with all the jokes, the rape jokes. And you stepped on a flag, man. My grandpa died for that flag. It's like, no, your grandpa didn't die for that flag. He died for what the flag represents, and the flag represents people's ability to step on it. So grow up. It's just a piece of fabric, man. Like.
And then
I was totally for it. I thought that honestly, the second I saw that, I was like, oh, he's gonna get some shit for that. But I'm like, I'm all for it, man, because like. I love America. Like this country has been great for me, and I love what the flag represents, but I also understand like you have to be able to defend your principles even when it's not convenient for you. And I think both of us are pretty behind the freedom of speech, and that very much includes that. So I feel like that was a great representation of it. And those a couple thousand people that unfollowed you.
A little over 10,000. Who's counting? That's insane.
10,000. Wow.
Dude,
that's 10,000 snowflakes out there.
I know. I was shocked. And there's no way to really know because, I gain followers each day, but my number went down about 8,000 over the course of many days. But that's while I'm gaining probably 2,000 or 3,000 a day. So I might have lost closer to 20,000. I don't even know.
That's insane. That's crazy. Absolutely insane.
Like
those were the same people that followed you off of being controversial.
Yeah. What did you people follow me for? What did you think I was about? It's pretty mind open. It kind of shocked me.
But yeah, I knew that was gonna the second, because I saw it honestly. I think within like the first 15 minutes that you posted, and I was like, "Ooh, he's gonna get
well,
some
I
shit
started by I was mocking the left and the whole Donalage situation, and just like pretending to be this like robotic, woke person. And then people got mad at me without getting the joke that I stepped on the flag and start telling me I can't do that, don't do that, apologize. I was like, "Fuck you, dude! I'm gonna do it 4 more times," and then I just started going.
I loved it, man. I think that was a great statement, and those 10,000 plus people can sit on a fat one.
Yeah, fuck right off, guys. I don't need you. You guys are the people that probably spam other people's comments and can send them death threats and then can't take it yourself. So I'm weeding you out. I'm trying to build the snowflake-free audience.
Good riddance, man.
Yeah.
You don't need them.
Yeah, that definitely was a controversy, and it was terrible timing too, because I am shadow banned right now, and the shadow ban is real. It really sucks. I don't know what I did, but I got shadow banned like right before I posted that video. And when you're shadow banned, you can't really reach new followers because you're not on the For You page. You're only getting your own followers, or if they like duet you. And so I'm literally just losing my own follow. It's like there's no real gain anymore. I was I did not time this right.
Because I feel like there's different maybe levels to shadow banning, but the reason I created my Uncle Dan account was because my original account for like a month was definitely shadow banned. Like I went from because it was still like really early on in my account, so I was still pretty relatively low views to begin with. I was averaging between 800 and 1,000, and then for like a month straight could not break 50 views. Like it was just like it would stop immediately at 50 views, and it none of them were For You page views, and I was just like, what the fuck? So I created the Uncle Dan account, and then that started growing. So I was like, oh, whatever. I don't care.
The comment replies worked well to grow my account too, and I see you're doing mostly that, or a lot of that anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, what other strategy you think you might try out? You just going to try to get into more comedy, lighthearted stuff, or?
Because I made a post about kind of just like being frustrated with the whole thing, and I had a couple creators that are a little like bigger than me kind of reach out to me and was like, "Hey man, I really like your content. Like I don't want you to get like frustrated and leave the app." And they gave me some like pointers about, because a lot of my and I think that's a legitimate thing, is a lot of my videos are too long. So even like when people are liking them, they're not completing the video, like they're like flipping between like the last couple seconds, and that definitely hurts your ability to grow. So I'm trying. It's really tough because it's hard to get too much information out, in 20 seconds. But I'm really trying to keep all my videos to like below 30 seconds, which I've seen is helping like a little bit. And then I think
lower. You should go even lower. You should do like 15 seconds, even lower.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm trying to do, which is it's hard. It's really hard to only do 15-second videos with some of the content I'm trying to do. So I've kind of just had to like move away from some of the longer breakdowns and kind of just stick to like just some like really quick, fast-hitting jokes that will kind of get see, the problem with those too is they're kind of more ambiguous. So a lot of people aren't necessarily, they're going to misinterpret it. And that's when I just get a whole bunch of comments like, well, what about this? And I'm like, I know that, dude. It's because I only have 10 seconds to get the joke out. Like, I hope.
But that's
I did the best I could.
If you get a lot of comments, that's just going to help you even more.
I mean, true. It's true. It's going to help a lot more, but it's also kind of like a little bit, like it's kind of like an anxiety feeling too, when like so many people misinterpret your point and you're like, no, I don't want them thinking this about me, which you kind of got to get over. You got to get over that.
I would advise leaning into that, because I get that all the time, but I actually make a point to make my jokes purposely vague and worded ambiguous, so that way you can take it so many ways and you don't know where I actually stand. The more information you give, the more you're kind of you're clarifying too much. It is better just to make a very direct point, let them interpret it how it wants. You know what you believe, and if they run with it and get it all twisted, that's just gonna the trolling. You're gonna get more comments, you're gonna get more shares, you're gonna get people pissed off, and then you have more content to clarify more.
I mean, a good percentage of your followers was off of just pissing a lot of people off. So I mean, you're testament to how well that strategy works. It's really just committing to like, because a lot of times I can do it like with certain opinions that I have no problem like disagree with me. I don't care. Like I love that you disagree with me. But then there's other things that are kind of like these points are a little bit more ambiguous, where it's hard to get over the fact when someone like so vehemently like disagrees with you, like it still kind of gets to you. So it's like it's kind of like playing the game of like trying to get over like still care, like, you know, you gotta sometimes care what people think because you can't just completely disregard it, but to like for the most part kind of just put that to the side and not make it like super important and just be like, you know what, I believe in this, I'm just gonna say it whether people like it or not. So
well, even if you do care, and it seems you do, and you put a lot of thought into it, and you try to be very true to what your opinions are and not let people get the, you know, wrong idea. But even still, people are going to get the wrong idea, especially on this app. You could be the most perfect, positive person, and people are still going to misconstrue everything you say and do, especially the bigger you grow. So at a certain point, I think for all content creators, you need to just lean into it, not care so much.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like some of the time, like that's so easy to do. I'm just like, haha, see that, like, and you just like lean right into it, and then you know get a lot of people like applaud. But then other times, like, I don't know. Sometimes it depends on my mood. Like it gets to me sometimes.
Oh yeah.
People. And then I respond like angrily, and then like I said, my mom, she's probably gonna watch this
Hi, Mom.
podcast too.
What's
Hi,
up?
Mom. And,
follow me on TikTok,
like,
Mom.
Yeah, she's like, Ryan, you like you swear so much, and I feel like you're a little
Sorry,
angry.
Mom.
Yeah, you're like a little angry. Like, can you just calm down a little bit? I'm like, yeah, you're right, Mom. I gotta calm down a little bit. And
well, I have the same problem. There's a lot of times where I wake up in my mood. I didn't sleep that great. I wake up and people are just, you know, in some of my controversies, it's thousands of people are coming at me and it's a lot of pressure. And I don't really, I don't care, but I know I have to deal with it and I need to respond to it. And I need to like navigate a way to spin it in my favor. And that takes a lot of mental energy. And I notice sometimes I will do a response video and I'm like, that seems too mean. It seems too angry. It seems like I'm frustrated. And I have to cut that and say, all right, let me do another take and let me find the way to word this in a way. And I think, and I don't know if you do, but I kind of watch some of your stuff and I feel like a lot of yours is just right off the cuff and you just kind of say it and you post it. I don't know if you're actually like re-recording to try to get your words better.
like sometimes I do, because like I said, sometimes I will like come like guns blazing and I'm just like, you motherfucker. Yeah. And then I'm like, I watched it and I'm like, all right, Ryan, take a breath. Get down on the motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Just breathe.
They
and
have
then, like,
the drafts for a reason.
Yeah, and then by like because sometimes I'll just do it right off and I'll just post it immediately, and then other times, like especially when I come in real hot, like it won't be until like the fourth take where like the fourth take is just like, hey man, like this is like my contentions I have with your video, when the first take was just like, fuck you, dude. Just like it's a good thing people don't see my first takes a lot of time.
I mean, I'm torn. Maybe it is better if you just throw that out. You'll stir up a lot of controversy too. Like Uncle's mad again.
Oh, Uncle Dan's pissed.
Yeah.
But I feel like, because I still do let some of those videos come out, so I feel like it just adds like, oh shit, he's serious in this one, instead of just being like, oh yeah, he's a hothead that doesn't know how to ever calm down. So
how do those perform, better or worse than?
I mean, it depends on what the topic is, because sometimes like it depends on what community you're having this discussion with. Because
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've had like some, discussions with like the trans community, and it's basically you have to concede your point or you're gonna just get shit on. So it's like I kind of just try to avoid that community now.
They're so accepting and inclusive of everybody's own identity and perspectives on the world, as long as they just agree with them. Otherwise, you're a transphobe.
Because it's like weird. Like, I mean, I'm chill. Like my roommate is gay. I've got like plenty of like friends in the community, I guess. But like, it's just kind of like ridiculous. Because in one of my videos, it wasn't even purposeful. I accidentally misgendered someone, and I just didn't hear the end of it for like a week. It was just every one of my videos was getting comments like, "You fucking bigot." And I'm like, oh my God, it was an accident.
Was this somebody you were like viewing and duetting on TikTok? Like you saw them and they looked like a man, but they were a woman?
So it was maybe they were just a they. I'm not exactly sure, but it's like and it's also like they don't want, like it's transphobic for me to say like the person was still very feminine, like like their voice sounded feminine, their face is very feminine, but for me to acknowledge that is transphobic, and it's just like that's a reality. It's a reality. Like I didn't mean to misgender that someone, but when my brain sees you and hears your voice, it registers as feminine. So like that's what a lifetime of habits have said. Oh, when I hear something feminine, I say she. Yeah, and it's like. It was an accident. They
don't realize that the way we use pronouns is not based on what you identify as. It's what we perceive you as, you know?
Right. It's like my brain, the second I see you, my brain has like, as a certain evaluation, it's like, hey, that's a guy, that's a girl, and whatever. Maybe you have certain things about maybe what their personality is like they're presenting themselves as maybe they're open, they're a little more shy, whatever it is. But it's like your brain comes up with a list, and especially I have the biggest problem with non-binary people, because you can say like you don't identify with a gender, and that's fine, but it's like my brain still reads you as one of the two genders.
Yeah.
Or I say one of the two. How many are they?
There's two, bro. We all know there's two. Notice how nobody ever transitions to a non-binary.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's like I've just always. And it's a tough like subject, because like I don't know if they'll ever see this, but I have a cousin who just like recently started identifying as non-binary, and like I love this person, they're my family, but it's also it's just like I've known them as a she my entire life. They've always been a she. I've always been, even though like she's been a little bit tomboyish, but like. They were a she, and now all of a sudden they're a they, and I like it's like it hurts me, because I see in the family group meet, like our whatever family get-togethers, like everyone is always still calling her she, and it's not like even intentional on their part. They're just like, you're a she to me.
Yeah.
And like I know it bugs them, I guess. But it's like it's just difficult, because
it's hard to reprogram everybody in the world's brain around your identity. It's a lot easier to sometimes just deal with your, how people see you, and kind of just, okay, this is annoying. I wish people didn't say this, but I also understand.
Yeah, I know. It's
I feel the same way, like, and it is unfortunate, but it's a reality of life. Like somebody who has like a horrible, I don't know, like disability or something, very visual. And it's unfortunate that when they go out in public, kids are probably going to stare at them. Is it really the parents' job? Like the parents should educate them and of course tell them not to be rude, but it's understandable that a child is going to be like, what is that? What's going on there? I don't understand. I've never seen that before. And I know from the person's perspective, they're like, I'm sick of every time I go out, I have to deal with this. But you also have to recognize that you're unique, and people are going to have some questions, and people are going to have a weird, they need time to understand it and kind of be shocked a little bit and kind of learn about it. They can't just instantly adapt to, you've been annoyed by this 1,000 times, you've accepted it. This is their first time seeing it or dealing with it.
And because like also I think a lot of these a lot of people in the community, like they're so just like completely entrenched in it, and like all their friends are either in the community or heavily involved with it, so they're just so used to like that's their world. Their world is like, oh, gender is fluid and anyone can identify as whatever, and they don't realize that's still like a large portion of the country. I mean, like middle America, they don't see trans people. They don't, like, that's not a normal thing for them. So it's like, and even like myself, like living in LA, like I'm exposed to it relatively often, and it's still like sometimes like catches me off guard. So I can even imagine someone who has like no exposure to this community, someone living in like, I don't know, Kansas or something. They're like, trans people, what? You're a boy.
Yeah.
You got a penis, you're a boy.
I mean, do you really think like Kim Kardashian is looking at Caitlyn Jenner and saying, that's a woman? Or do you think they still think of them as like my dad, my stepdad? I mean, what do you really think they feel?
No, especially with someone who is like been a father to you, that's got to be a real like curveball. Because,
or I should say Kylie Jenner, when that's her real dad, you know, it's, do you really think they're like,
do you not have a dad anymore?
You just have a mom?
Like, two moms? Do you have two moms? Or like, I don't know what really, I mean, maybe doesn't really matter, I guess, that much, but it is kind of strange, I guess. I don't know.
We just got canceled, bro. Even asking these questions, we're canceled right now.
Yeah, I know. You're like the second you're confused about my gender, you bigot.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, I don't really care. I don't care if you're a boy and you want to wear a dress and all these things. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. But it's just, I also, as just like the flag thing goes, when you try to tell me what to say and what words to use and how to perceive the world, I'm going to say, fuck you. Now I'm going to look for a way to just do it, you know?
Well, and this is another, like I made a video the other day about he, him lesbians and how, like, in my mind, that seemed ridiculous because if you're lesbian, that means you're a woman. And people are like, no, he, him, you can be a he, him lesbian still, which it's still to this day, it makes no sense to me at all.
I hate that we even have to look. I understand there are people with real body dysmorphia, and 100% I accept you however you want. But this idea that we have to talk about this, like, this is not nonsense.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they go into this, and I'm having this like discussion with this person, and they're like, you know what? It's not your decision. This is the community has decided, like, what lesbian means, and that includes people who are he, him identifying, and that's that. And I was like, okay, you know what? If that's the standard you want, that's fine. But you can't now just be like, I'm going to freak out if someone misgenders me when you have decided that your very limited small community decides the definition of words. Yeah. And it's like the larger society doesn't know what your definitions are. They don't adhere to that in the dictionary. That's not what the definition says. So when you're going to hold people to the standard of this like definition that you came to as a small community, it just doesn't make sense. And you can't be like, oh, I'm going to have like a meltdown when I get misgendered. It's like, well, what did you expect? People don't know what your definitions are.
And what does that even mean to if you're saying something like that? It makes sexuality not real. And they were all about, you know, being gay is biological and being lesbian. And then if you say you can be a man but also be a lesbian, then that kind of diminishes their own narrative. It's very confusing, especially when they're all in the same community. Dave Chappelle actually had a good bit on this where he was like, we're all in this community, but the T ones in the back, they're kind of fucking it up for everybody. Us all back. Like, we're all on the same page, but God damn it.
That man is brilliant, honestly. He truly is a national treasure. Honestly. Yeah. I love Dave Chappelle.
Nah, these are very difficult issues, and it's weird that it's such a hot topic, and it's like these issues always come up in political debates, but really in reality it's such a small fraction of the population. I don't know why this is really the focus.
Yeah, it's confusing how we've gotten to this point where it's like, because there's obviously, I mean, it's 2020, there's a lot of big issues going on, and it's like all of a sudden there's so many people getting stuck on this issue, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, it's really not
that big of an issue.
Just turn all the bathrooms into unisex bathrooms. Problem solved. You know, whatever.
Yeah, I could care less. I don't know. I don't care if you have a penis or vagina peeing next to me. I really could. I don't care.
And just like how you view the pronoun issues, and when you see somebody, it's like, I could know for a fact that you are a man with a penis, but if you look super feminine and look convincing as a woman, my brain is still going to be like, yeah, that's a woman. Even though I know it's a man, you know, it goes both ways where we just perceive what we perceive, and that's just kind of what you are. So you got to be convincing. And that is also like the thing that is hilarious about, you know, women and feminists, and especially people in the very far left community, try to dismantle gender norms and say women are more than just wearing dresses and makeup, and you don't have to adhere to these beauty standards. And then to be convincing as a trans woman, you pretty much have to wear dresses and makeup and look feminine in all the typical woman ways. And when you don't have that, you're not really convincing as a woman. A lot of times you look like a man, and it's almost like a costume, you know?
Well,
I'm canceled again just for saying this. My new term.
No, I feel you, man.
My new term is they're cosplay women.
Well, I had this the other day. I had again, I think it was with the same experience, or I had this person come in and say like, well, you just have to do your best to gender someone correctly. And I was like, okay. And I looked at this person's profile, and in their bio, they have she, her. And then I look at this person, though, and they they're making no attempt to look feminine whatsoever. They had a beard, and I was like,
Yeah.
how can you get angry at people who are misgendering you when you have a full beard?
You saw that viral video, I'm sure, of the guy in the GameStop. The guy, see, I did it.
Oh, yeah.
It is ma'am. It is ma'am.
It's ma'am.
And even the poor clerk who was like trying to be polite, he could not break his program. And he was like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. He's like, fuck, it is ma'am. I'm sorry, sir. Fuck, I did it again. Because you can't. The dude is masculine. I mean, the dude, I'm not even trying to, and I'm calling him a dude.
Know,
it's impossible. It is impossible to change.
I was crying the other day because I was watching one of Papa Gut's live streams where he was breaking down a video with someone who was non-binary in it, and he could not do it himself. Like, at least, no exaggeration, 35 times. Papa Gut would be like, she, and then he'd be like, oh, no. I mean, they. And it happened every single time he tried to, and he was just like, he caught himself every time, but it was like, he could not do it. And I was just like, it's such a perfect example of like, it's not intentional. It's not intentional, but I'm sure
that's not how language works. We're programmed into our brain. Unfortunately, gender is a construct, but it's a powerful construct, and it's very hard to break out of. And you're not going to change the world by forcing us to use your words or to view things like you do. It's just going to be through time and exposure and empathy and a lot of things that are going to. You just can't force it down our throats because it doesn't really work that way.
And honestly, it probably will happen over time because we're moving more into a society where, gender is less relevant. We have stay-at-home dads and we have full career, women who just like are perfectly fulfilled, just having like a career and doing what they want. So it's like we're moving away from where gender is that relevant. And I think it's going to happen naturally over time. But it's like when you're trying to force it is when it becomes an issue for people, especially with the older generations where it's like, this is completely weird for them.
You're not going to convince them.
They're not going to change. Some 65-year-old man who he's like, what? Yeah, you're a dude.
I mean, I look it up on Pornhub every now and again, but I ain't going to play along.
It's called Chicks with Dicks.
Yeah, dude, I always love the term she-male. I think it's a great word, but I think that's very offensive.
Yeah, she-male. I don't know what, because for the longest time, it was like, I didn't know it was super offensive. I guess this was like 2 years ago when I said the term tranny, and they're like, "No, you're not allowed to say tranny anymore." I'm like, "Oh,
we just said tranny and she-male and chicks with dicks, and then
transsexual. Like transsexual is also
then it's transsexual, and then it goes transgender, and it's like, okay, make up your mind.
Yeah, because like I guess you're implying something else with transsexual. It's like because for the general population, like honestly, gender is not that important to me. It's not something I think about daily. So it's kind of also just like strange coming into contact with someone who's like what gender is so important to their identity, where it's just like, yeah, I'm a guy, and I guess I like being a man, but it's not like something I wake up every morning and being like, yes, I'm a man, and this is what a man does.
You just are what you are, and you have to learn how to present who you are to the world, and people are gonna learn how to accept it or not. Yeah. No,
I mean, there's general, like, I didn't even intend to do this. This was like something that my roommate made me do, but I have this like highlight thing in my hair now, and I have had several people be like, yeah, am I supposed to take advice from somebody who has highlights in their hair? And I'm like, the fuck? I don't know what the like, honestly, I wasn't even gonna do this. My roommate comes into my room and he's like, hey, we're dyeing our hair and we've decided we're gonna give you a streak in the front. And I was just like, it's quarantine, I don't have any auditions or anything, why not? And now all these people are like, are you even straight? You got a blonde in your hair.
I got a lot of questions about you, bro.
It's a little sus, my brother.
I know, which is so weird because, this day and age, everybody looks some crazy weird way. And, there's just all the norms are changing. And as much as the gender norms are changing, I agree with you. Gender norms are changing a lot, but I think it's even moving to a crazier degree where, I can see in the future, especially as we move into this digital age and people are having all these digital meetups, and we might move to some type of virtual reality thing. But even outside of that, things like, DNA coding and changing people, all this plastic surgery and changing people's appearances in all these ways. We're almost moving towards this place where everybody is going to adopt an avatar of some kind, where you pretty much can design yourself to be however you want to present yourself in the world. And I think overall, maybe the trans issue is kind of a stepping stone to, guys, once we accept
like in
this.
That movie Ready Player One, like one of spoiler alert, one of the main characters is a guy until you find out that they're a girl at the end in real life. So that's a perfect example. I think there's a bunch of people who like in video games, they're like, yeah, I'm a girl in this game. It's like, okay, cool. If you want to do that, that's chill.
They had a good Black Mirror episode about that too. If you ever watch Black Mirror.
Oh yeah,
it was the two bros who were playing the video games, but one was a girl,
like fuck in the video game,
and then they fell in love, but they could only do it in the game because outside it's like, this is fucking weird.
It's like, no, that's gay outside, but in that video game, I'm a girl, man.
I agree, man. It's all about how you perceive the world. If it feels real, and I mean that's the thing with trans women. If they're very hot and feminine, I'm going to be attracted to them. I mean, I am. Whatever.
No, absolutely. Like I've seen like when I guess the term is like passable, and it's just like shit. Honestly, I couldn't tell at all that you're attractive. In my mind, you processed an attractive woman. So
exactly, and that's all it is. You just have to be convincing. You can't force it down our throat. And the thing is, a lot of trans people probably do know that are very passable. They're like, I walk out in the world and people don't even know. And it's like, it's not an issue for them to go into the bathroom because they look and present themselves as a woman very convincingly, and it's fine. Nobody's fucking with them all day long. You just got to be convincing. You can't shove it down our throats. That's all.
Yeah, and I guess it also
pun intended. Shove it down our throats. You see what I did there?
It would be. I mean, yeah, it's just hard. I can't imagine being that situation because I also would understand being like a trans woman who wasn't passable and like also is like kind of like in the place where it's like you're not going to be passable. There's like nothing you can do. You're just like a very masculine looking person.
Bruce
and
Jenner.
I guess that would be tough. I can imagine that'd be mentally tough for that person knowing that they're never going to be that beautiful woman that they want to be. So it's like,
however,
I have no idea what that would be like. It's
how
like
is that any different than every human ever?
You want to be
the 6'5", suave, sexy Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know what everybody wants to be something that they're not. And the hardship of life is you got to learn how to accept who you are. There's only so much you can
be comfortable in your own skin is like, and there's kind of that like thin line you have to walk of like, encouraging people to just be comfortable with who they are. And also like being like, it's okay to change things about yourself. It's like, where's the line of like, because obviously there's people like it's perfectly acceptable to get some plastic surgery. And then there's the people it's like, whoa, you've had 20 plastic surgeries in the last 2 years. There's something wrong here. Like
I know. And it's varied. Yeah, I agree. My girlfriend has fake tits and it doesn't bother me at all. It looks awesome and I love them. But then I see some women and I'm like, okay, there's some mental illness or something. And I don't know where the line is, but there is something going on when you change yourself so drastically and it looks so fake and you keep going. And one example I have is like the women, the trend now is injecting the lips to make them look much bigger. And that's fine for some women, they do it and it looks okay. But for a lot of women, it's like, dude, you look really fucked up and that's fine. It's your personal choice.
You got stung on the face. Like you got stung on the face. And
first off, who said all women had to look like that? It's just a trend and you just jump in and you dive head first into it. Fine, it's your right. But imagine those women, if you said anything about that, they're going to say you're shaming them. How dare you villainize you? Get it? But those same women, now imagine like that man, you've seen dudes who inject that cortisol shit, whatever the fuck.
That disturbs me,
yes,
dude.
Right? Who accepts that without saying that dude has some mental illness or some body dysphoria? He has some major confidence problems and there's something wrong with him to do that. And
there's something wrong with thinking that's even attractive in the first place.
Well, exactly.
Anyone I've seen, like it looks so bizarre, like so beyond even like the potential of someone being like, yeah, that's natural. Like it's like 200 times past that. And it's just like, it looks like you have giant tumors on your body. And I'm like,
how is that different than the women who do the big ass lips that are over like, why is it that we're not supposed to look at them that way? When we do, we just don't say it. And everybody knows you would look at a man that way and be like, what's wrong with you, bro? You should stop doing that. There's something wrong with you.
or when people get like, I just think it's really, I guess it's weird because it's like more socially acceptable for like women to alter their bodies, because then you see things like guys getting like calf implants, and I'm like, what the fuck is that, dude? Like, the point of having large muscles is because they're the functionality of them too, because it's like, dude, I'm strong. I don't just look strong. And it's like, if you have calf implants, it's going to look even worse when you're weak. And you're like, dude, why do you look so strong? And you can't even like,
you're like, I can't walk this mile. I got to stop. Can we get the Uber?
These are implants, my brother. These aren't real calves.
Well, and it does. It shows that they are insecure about their looks. It shows they lack confidence. It shows they're doing it just for aesthetic reasons. And women look at that as something that is a bit of a turnoff. And yet there is a double standard the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, I can, because I feel like a lot of times, like, again, the reason that like women find like, to a certain extent, like muscular, like strong men attractive is because they're strong, not because they look strong.
Yeah. Well, there's also a bit of a misconception there, because if you actually ask the majority of women, they don't need a man to be so ripped and muscular. Right. They want you to be in shape. They don't want you to be fat. But the dad bod thing is kind of true. Women mostly are just like, I want you to look fit, you know, have the right proportions, but you don't need to be shredded.
Well, because I think there's also a comfortability in knowing like that you don't have to be like perfect, like to yourself too. It's like a reflection, like for a lot of these women, of like, yeah, I want you to not be like fat and crazy out of shape, but I don't need you to be like so insanely in shape that it's like making me feel uncomfortable with my body, and like I always have to be perfect. So there's kind of like that reflection of like, hey, we have this understanding that it's like, as long as you don't become grotesque, like
just keep it in line.
We keep it in this range, and it's like, as long as you're within that, we're chill. But there's also like, there's this mutual, when you get into a relationship like that, there's a mutual like respect of like not letting yourself get to a point where it's like, hey, maybe we should go to the gym.
I agree. And people would say that's shameful. And how dare you say that? And I'm of that opinion too, is look, looks do matter, and being in a similar lifestyle matters. And this idea, and you see this all the time where, you know, people will get married and maybe the wife lets themselves go, or the husband, and then the other one leaves or cheats. And it's like, what do you really expect them to do? Just they have to be with you for the rest of their life because you've just decided to completely let yourself go, and they have to force themselves to be attracted when they're not anymore? Because love does have conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, physical attractiveness shouldn't be the end all be all, but it's like, it's important. It's an important part of a relationship, is having that like sexual attraction to that person. So it's like, when you lose that, it's like, that's a problem, because it's not the whole relationship, but it's like, hey, sex is a big part of a relationship, and like keeping that, physical attraction to each other. So it's like, when that's gone, it's not a good sign for the rest of the relationship, really. Like, that's going to obviously cause problems, because it's like, are we friends or are we dating?
Like, we're hanging out all the time, but I'm not into you sexually, and I'm fantasizing about all these girls on TikTok and Instagram, and I really...
Yeah, that's tough. There are some attractive, like, it's insane. Like, you're flipping through the FYP, I'm like, this is, like, not a representation of real life, because, like, 9 out of 10 women on there are just like, wow, she is really attractive.
I do love it more on TikTok, because they're more, that's kind of what they really look like, whereas you see them on Instagram, you're like, you could be a complete digital woman at this point. I don't even know if you're real.
All those, and then you see the bars in the background where there's like this curve, and you're like, oh yeah, that's natural. There's just like the bending of the light behind your body.
I had made a joke about that on my old account. It was a good one, where it was like that sound where it's like, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. How would they know? And then it like they cut it to something, and I like did the woman being like editing their pictures, and then the background I did like the women. And all these women, of course, flooded me and were like, "How dare you? All you do is rip down women." I'm like, "You're not even yourself. You're just like a digital creation at this point."
That's
I know.
Funny. How can you not like that? Is legitimately funny when someone is just so oblivious that they like post a picture where you look like you're looking through a prism in the background.
What it says about them, that they are so hyper focused on their own body of the picture that they don't even recognize how obviously terribly edited it is, and they just upload it because they're just looking at themselves. They haven't even thought like, is this convincing?
and that's like apparently like I've heard it's like a really big issue in a lot of like Asian cultures where like Asian women are very strict on that. And I've seen like some pictures where they'll like edit their face into this really thin thing, and like you can see like the reflection of their actual face like on a mirror on the side, and they didn't edit that part, so it's like they have like this big round face in like the picture, and all of a sudden like they're like this like little porcelain doll in the thing, and it's like, you weren't paying attention when you edited that photo.
There was a story years ago in one of the Asian countries, I forget where, maybe it was Korea or something, maybe Japan, I don't know. And who knows if this was a real story, you know how the internet is, but apparently like some woman had done massive plastic surgery to make herself look like this, you know, the stereotypical attractive kind of anime type look out there. And then of course she gets herself a rich husband, they have a bunch of kids, and the kids come out with the real genetics, which was not her at all.
Oh,
and
man.
were horribly unattractive. And he sued her and was able to win because they had
like
some
false advertising.
Yeah. I'm like, that's kind of awesome.
Kids are ugly.
I know. It's like, this is bullshit. Like, you should have to tell somebody at a certain point. I mean, isn't that the point? I understand. Like, look, if you do plastic surgery and you look super attractive, just like I said about the tranny issue, not tranny, trans, whatever.
Yeah, you're canceled.
I've been canceled 1,000 times. I don't care. But, you know, if it's convincing, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to be attracted to it, and that's fine. But when you are trying to find a mate to have children with, I mean, the whole point of beauty is that you're gauging somebody's genetics based on their physical appearance. And if you completely fake it, should you not have to tell the person that you're having children with, just so you know, our kids are not going to look at all like this?
And it's actually, it reminds me of a video I just saw recently of like this girl. She was like talking to this guy, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just realized something." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "People who have plastic surgery, their kids aren't going to look like them." And it was like a realization she just had, and I was like, "What did you think was going to happen?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I just got, I got my my nose done, so now my kids are going to be set."
Yeah. And then the kids, of course, are going to grow up having their own body issues, and it's going to go forward because they're going to be like, why does mommy have these big, perky, perfect breasts and I have none? And why does she have this beautiful face and I don't?
I look like a goblin.
Yeah.
No, there are. I mean, honestly, there are some of those like celebrities who are just like these super like hyper attractive people, and then their kids come out and you're like,
no.
How did this happen?
And then they do. I saw the Kardashian thing. She was getting flack because they're already like face tuning their 2-year-old daughter in photos, and it's like, come and like taking their gut away. It's like, it's a toddler. They're gonna have a gut.
That is gonna fuck.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, you already look at Kylie Jenner and what she you turned into, and of course, I mean, so props to her. You're killing it, but how do you survive in that family as a child growing up? You are screwed from the day you're born. You got to live up to that standard of complete fake manufactured beauty.
I just like, I really feel bad for those kids, because like that mom, Chris, is just like, she's not a parent, she's just a manager. Yeah. That's what she's become, and it's like, I can't imagine that's gonna, those kids have a real healthy self-esteem and evaluation of themselves, because
it's going to be exciting to watch where it all goes in 20, 30 years, watching the women age. And, maybe they'll handle it well. There are a lot of women who, I don't know how you age gracefully when you're manufactured to that degree. I don't really think you can do that.
You just got to keep on getting those surgeries is what it is.
That sucks.
Or if you talk to some of the conspiracy theorists out here, they're going to drink some baby's blood or something.
Dude, they do that, man. They do like the blood transfusions and all kinds of weird shit out there. I mean,
I've heard of that, but there's some wild theories out there that they're all like drinking the blood of sacrificed children, and these like. And who knows? Maybe it's true. True.
I'm on the same page where it can, like conspiracies back 10 years ago, you're like, okay, come on. We would know about that. That's not, the elites aren't going to some private island to have underage sex slaves. And then you find out,
Bill Clinton's been there 26 times.
They are actually doing that.
And you're like, wow, I guess like once, because I have people that come out and they're like, you can't like even suggest that any of these conspiracies are real. And I was like, look, I mean, if you've seen my page, I don't talk about conspiracies really at all. But I'm like, once you've passed the point where a former president has now like is proven to be like just best buds with this guy and like flown on his plane 26 times. It's like,
Yeah.
nothing is really that surprising. If like one of our former presidents is potentially a pedophile, it's like,
and then we just take it for
nothing surprised
granted.
me.
Nothing happened to him, and he's still speaking at the DNC.
that is really what like completely blew my mind, because I made a post the other day talking about Bill Clinton, and someone's like, does anyone like Bill Clinton anymore? And I was like, are you serious? He just spoke at the DNC.
Yeah.
Clearly, plenty of people still like Bill Clinton. Like, it's not.
And honestly, I kind of still like him. I'm like, Bill, you're pretty cool.
I did not have sexual relations with that one. Honestly, back when I was a kid, I was like, that's kind of slick.
I was in middle school when that all went down, and I was like, hey, that sounds fun. That's when I started learning about blowjobs. It was all over the news. I was like, I can't wait to get one of those.
There's that era of just like, damn, the president is getting it in like that. But then when you look at Hillary, you're like, I guess I probably would be.
You know, they had sex one time and they made Chelsea, and that was it. Then
again, you look at like nothing against Monica Lewinsky, but it's like, why the hell was he going after her? Like,
she looks better now than she did then.
She does. She does. She looks significantly better now than she did back in the day. Like, she's like, I'm like, oh, I mean, I would see it now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I'm like, what? It's more of, I really think it's like kind of like the thing of just that power dynamic, and is that's like what's attractive to a lot of those people. It's like, I'm the president.
Well, I also think it's just a matter of like the environment and the selection you have, because I'll go into like a party and they might not be the hottest girls there, but I'm still going to be attracted to the hottest girl there.
The hottest one. You're like, you're the hottest one here. So
if you saw her at some other party, you would probably not pay attention to her, you know? So maybe Monica was just the hottest one. Yeah, relativity. And that's just kind of how beauty works for men a lot of times. Sorry, ladies, but it's true.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely a thing, because there was like this one and sorry if you ever see this, but there was this one girl I dated, super attractive, like very, very, very attractive. But she was horrible. She was a horrible person. We had a terrible relationship, and I stayed in it much longer than I would have, because I loved walking into a room and just having every guy in the room just be like, damn, how lucky is he? And that was just like, I loved that. So I stayed in the relationship so much longer than I normally would have, because I love that status thing of just being like, people are jealous of me.
Yeah. A lot of guys get very insecure with that, but that is one of my favorite feelings too, when I'm with somebody. And I've been in that same type of situation where like, I don't really like this girl, but this girl has power. You know? Yeah,
she has it's like cool knowing that everyone else is like, I mean, they're not looking at me, they're looking at her, but by relation, they're looking at me.
Oh yeah, they're like, I want to be that dude, and you know what they're thinking. And then other women too are like, what's that guy got going on? He's fucking awesome. And
that fucking alpha over there. Only an alpha would get her.
It's a real thing. Yeah, you should have started the OnlyFans up with her while you had the chance.
He was not the kind of person that would have been cool with that. And also, she was a terrible lay. She was kind of one of those dead fish.
That's the worst. They just lay there. Really, they want you to do everything, and it's like, am I raping you right now? I don't really like this.
It's like, is this okay? Are you asleep?
Yeah.
She's like, no, it's I'm fine. It's like,
they want you.
No, I can't.
Yeah, it's that is a deal breaker. Well, not to brag, that's why I like my girlfriend, because she turns heads when I walk in the room, and she's not a dead fish, and she's nice. She's a nice, awesome person. It's a win-win-win all around.
Yeah, the little bit I've seen of her on your podcast, you guys seem like really cool.
It's a good situation. So I guess we'll get off the tranny issue and try to just get another topic in before we wrap this up. But like, who are some of the people that you kind of look at most on TikTok that you're big fans of, other than like the Papa Gut?
I mean, honestly, you're definitely one of those people.
I win, guys.
You're setting that one up. He's like, I'm going to ask this question.
I wasn't even actually thinking that, but I'm flattery gets you everywhere, bro. I mean, that's why I followed you in the first place.
No, like, yeah, I definitely, I really like your content. And like I said, like, freedom of speech is really important to me. And it's honestly, it's like why a lot of people end up like thinking that I'm conservative when I don't really consider myself to be conservative. It's just like, it's because like the topics I often like talk about tend to be like targeting people on the left because it's like it's talking about PC culture, because like a lot of things that like conservative people say that are like unacceptable is already like known to like in culture is already looked at as something that is unacceptable. So it's like PC culture is what like society has deemed to be like the standard and what is acceptable. And when something is like I view as like harmful or unproductive within PC culture, that's why I go after those things, because it's considered to be acceptable. And that's why, I mean, it tends to be a lot of people on the left, because the left is kind of who sets those standards. So I ended up going after like targeting people on the left a lot. And then everyone's like, well, Ryan's a conservative, or Uncle Dan is a conservative. And I'm like,
nobody knows you as Ryan, bro.
Yeah, I'm not really.
I have the same issue. I've demonstrated it this week. Everybody just assumed I was some conservative talking point, and it's like, that's my thing is free speech. And it does end up seeming like you go after the left so much because they're the ones mostly trying to censor speech and censor the words you can use in jokes and culture.
Which is like so strange to me. It's very, very strange, because when you think about it, like freedom of speech, you would think would be a liberal idea. Yeah. That's very like,
and it used to be. You go back to the Berkeley free speech movement. Back, what was it, in the 60s, 70s, and there was a whole movement. And then you fast forward, and then they're the ones who are shutting down any dialogue. Everything's hate speech. We can't have these speakers on campus. It completely flipped. But it is a liberal ideal. Used to be.
And sure, there's absolutely, I think there's, suppression of the opposition, I guess, on the right too. But it's so funny how like it's a lot of times these people who are calling everybody fascists, and I was like, you're the one who is suppressing anybody who's a opposition to you. You immediately shut them down, call them a bigot or a racist, and like don't allow them to speak. And I think it's been proven to not be a real quote of Winston Churchill, but I always thought that it was a really interesting quote, saying that fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascists, because it's like
Antifa, you listening?
Yeah, because it's like, anybody who disagrees with them even remotely is
we're gonna throw a brick at you,
and call the fascist. And it's just like, what? I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you recognize that, because I feel the same way. Is like I'm fighting more the free speech war, and it's not really one side or the other. It does lean toward, it goes against the left often, because it takes balls to stand up. It's not courageous to say racism is bad. It's not courageous to say.
Everyone knows that. Yeah.
That doesn't take balls. So all these people who are just virtue signaling and woke, like, you're just parroting easy things that nobody's disagreeing with. And that's the mainstream thought. That's not hard to say. It's a lot harder to stand up and say something that is going to get you called a racist or a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe, which is almost everything if you say anything about those issues. And it takes balls, and a lot of people can't do that. And a lot of people won't do that, and they're just staying silent because they're afraid to get canceled or lose their job or whatever it is. And it's good to see other people pushing back against that.
No, I mean, absolutely. And it's reassuring sometimes when I'll get like comments from people and they're like, hey man, like you say the things that I like, and I think that I'm just like too scared to say. And I was like, that's like, that means a lot, because sometimes it is scary. Like sometimes I'll be about to post something and I'm just like, shit, it's like, I'm sure like stepping on the American flag kind of things, where
actually,
it's just like,
that one I'm going to
get some shit for this. I am about to get a lot of shit for this, and I have to like be prepared. Like I'm like, do I care about this stance enough to?
Are you gonna die on this hill? Yeah.
Because some of them aren't. They're not worth it. I'll make a video and then I'm just like, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, and I don't even really care that much. So it's like I'm not gonna post this. But then other times I'm like, this is an important topic that I really like feel strongly about, and I think it's worth getting a couple maybe death threats or something like that, because
I get a lot more than a couple, bro. You got to step up your numbers.
I know. I only get a couple every once in a while.
Guys, I'm not like sending him some death threats.
or like just the offhanded cam are thrown in there, which a lot of it's really interesting, because I don't know if like apparently there was like some 11-year-old kid who just like I guess he's okay, which is is encouraging to hear, but that he like attempted suicide because girls were like he took it seriously, and I'm like, you can say it's a joke all you want, but honestly, you gotta in some ways, think about the effect, and also like jokes have punchlines. Come on.
Well, I get
What's
that.
the punchline of that joke?
I get that problem all the time is people are like, your jokes don't have punchlines. And I'm like, well, neither do yours. And that's my point. I'm just kind of using like, oh, you don't think this is funny? Well, that's what you seem to say all the time and you justify it.
Yeah, it's just a joke and we're allowed to say it because we're in a press group. And I'm just like, okay, like
that was a topic I was pushing back a lot against with the women versus men thing. And all the comments I would get is, think about if a young girl sees this, think about the young girls. It's like, nobody cares about the young men. You might have problems with men. And I know there's a lot of shitty men out there and women have to deal with a lot of bullshit. I know. But you think it's these 13-year-old boys on TikTok who have never even met a woman yet? Who've never dated, who've never had sex. Those are your oppressor.
That's your oppressor.
And you're just filling their head up with, you're a white male, you're straight, you're a boy, shut up, you're a piece of shit. What do you think that's going to do to a whole generation of men? You think you're going to get better men, more fulfilling men, more masculine men that women also equally complain about, not being fulfilled sexually, not having men who know, how to treat women? You're not going to get that when you scare every man from talking to you or thinking everything is rape culture or they're a piece of shit or women don't like sex and all these, there's so many false narratives out there because they're talking to adults, but there's a bunch of kids watching.
Yeah. And also, I thought about, and maybe this isn't important to them and they don't really care if a couple children have this experience, but I've also thought like, there's a lot of like, really low income, like, white families, I'm sure have like children who hear this and they're like, wow, if my dad has had this like great privilege his entire life and he's still poor, what a piece of shit my dad must be.
Oh yeah.
That he's like incapable of being successful when he's had this advantage. And he's like, well, if my dad's shit, then I must be shit too. So it's like, maybe they don't care if that's because they're like, oh, well, the white people have had an advantage for so long, so fuck those kids. Maybe that's what they think. I don't know.
Anybody who says shit like this does not care. Anybody who says all men are shit or all white people are shit, they're just, they're venting their own frustrations. And that's all it screams to me is you hate yourself and you're just taking it out on somebody that you think doesn't.
And, I feel like it's just, we live in really strange times because we also like live in this age where it's like, there's all these false perceptions of what people's lives are on social media and how everyone's like, oh, they live such a better life than I do.
No,
my life sucks. And like, look at all these pictures they're posting on Instagram and stuff. When in reality, those people are like struggling just as much as you. So it's like, we have all these things pressed in our face that like wasn't a reality, like just, 15 years ago before social media. It was like, you had to call your friends on the phone. You didn't even know what was going on in their life. And they're like, hey, I'm on vacation. You're like, oh shit, I didn't know. But now it's like, every little portion of at least what they're willing to present to the world is usually only positive things. So it's like you just get this constant like positive feed from everybody else when you're stuck in your own negativity and you're like, wow, everyone else is doing so well and I am shit.
Yeah. Somebody, I don't know the quote, but it's a quote about social media, like, don't compare your behind the scenes to somebody's highlight reel, which is, I think is a great way to.
It's so hard not to do. And that's also kind of, I guess it's not fully like that, but I that's why I kind of like TikTok, because it at least forces you to put a little bit of personality into your work. Because there's so many of those, like, it's fine. If you're making money being an Instagram model, I'm not going to bash you for that, but there's like it's kind of a shallow work. Like you don't have to put any personality to it. You just have to be hot and wear a bikini and just post your picture, and then you're gonna get all these branding deals and everything else. And it's like that's great.
That too has a world of problems because they have all kinds of mental issues with their looks, with their likes, they have to face tune everything. They got to keep up appearances all the time. And I've seen lots of behind the scenes stories of those type of women who say it is not a very glamorous life. It's filled with a lot of suffering.
I mean, I'm out here. I've got like one of my close friends, Chris. He's a model, so I kind of got like through him. I've got like a lot of like friends, like I guess by extension, that they're all in the modeling industry, and it's incredibly shallow, and it's really hard for them to, really gain a positive self-image when they're just constantly their life is being just being evaluated by other people.
Yeah.
It's I mean, they chose it. They definitely chose it. And they're obviously really attractive people. So it's like, how much can you really feel bad for them? But at the same time, it's like, it's definitely difficult not like only living in a life where people evaluate your worth based off of how attractive you are.
And that's a depreciating asset, you know, that only lasts for a small window of time. And that's where I'm really like, I see through, you know, I see it, you see it all the time. I see younger women already going at, you know, being in their hot 22, 23-year-old phase. But I already know, like, when I was in that age and seeing women and what they turned into and how, like, oh, this is very limited amount of time. And they don't even, you know, everybody thinks it's forever. And if that's what you build your whole self-worth of, I mean, this sounds like a cliche, but you can't build your self-worth off that, because that is not going to last.
Yeah. And it's another thing is like really, really tough. Like going into like being an actor, like it was really tough for me to even accept like that's like a legitimate thing to go into, because it's kind of not. It's a kind of a ridiculous career path to take.
I mean,
but
that's like, what everybody said who's been successful is like, this will never work. And people told them, don't do this.
Yeah,
and then it did.
It was tough. Like, because my dad, he was like, Ryan, hey, go into marketing. I'll get you a job right out of college. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, I guess. And then I went to college and I started doing like marketing stuff, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then I took an acting class, and I was like, and then like I realized how much like I really like, I always knew I kind of wanted to go into it, but like again, it was just like, it's not unrealistic that, you know, you can't go into acting. That's a stupid job. And then I took it and I was like, you know what, I like this, and I don't like marketing, so I'm gonna like, I could either like go into marketing and have a solid job and just like think what if my entire life, or I could try to do something I really want to do. But the real like kicker was, I kept on thinking, I was like, if I was a woman, I would have never have been able to do it, because I understand it's like, after you hit like for men, when you hit 30, it actually opens up a whole new category that you're able to go into like acting and stuff. When you're a woman and you hit 30, it like completely cuts like 90% of like the jobs you can get. So
I think like, life in general, I mean, as a man, people think like, oh, you know, you got to have your shit together at 22. Dude, life gets better as a man when you're in your 30s. It's way better.
Like,
women like you more.
I'm about to.
People want to date you more. It opens up a whole new thing. Whereas women, they're kind of hitting a wall at 30, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that is absolutely like something I recognize as a huge like disparity, and it's I don't know how to like rectify that, because like as men, we're very visually stimulated creatures, and it's like, I love looking at beautiful women. Like it's just like, you see one and you're just like, wow, I just want to look at you all day. Like that's like what it is. And it's kind of and it's like, it sucks, because it's like, there's a reality. It's like once they get older, it's like that you lose that interest in it, and it's like, shit, that's still a person who has value, but it's like a lot of like the visual value has been lost, and it's like, you gotta, I don't know how to fix that.
It's just reality. People just have to know that is reality. It is. That's why women have a lot of privilege and benefits when they're young, and but they don't realize that is a depreciating asset, whereas a lot of young men grow up feeling kind of lost and overlooked and bitter and lonely, and they don't realize, like, don't just marry the first woman you see, kind of wait until you mature, because a whole world of opportunity, and we get the benefits later in life, whereas women got all the benefits earlier in life, and it's just a trade-off. We both have our time in the sun, it's just different times.
Yeah, like honestly, I've been waiting for this time to come up for a while, because most of the roles I want to play are all like, I never get castings for the roles I really want to play. And now like I'm turning 30 this next year, and I'm like, shit, I'm about to enter like this whole new like prime for like what I really want to be doing. And I'm like, I'm hyped for it. I don't know.
That is good. Have you considered doing any TikToks where you do like acting or POVs or like skits or anything? I don't know if you have.
I kind of actually want to get back into doing a little bit more of that. I was doing a lot of that actually on my other profile, and then kind of when like Uncle Dan started taking off, like it was it's really strange because, like I said, I have more followers on my other account, but it's like I get more like engagement on my Uncle Dan account, where it's like people like really care about what I'm saying. While on my other account, it's just basically like a bunch of girls being like, "Oh, he's cute," and I'm like, "That's cool."
I mean, that's great
cool.
for the dating situation.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that, but it's kind of like it's there's like a more depth to like the kind of connection I get with like my followers on the Uncle Dan account, where it's like they're actually engaged. They ask me questions, like they care about what I think. Or on the other account, it's kind of just like people like today. It was just like some girl will be like, "Hey, can you what's that from A Princess Bride?" It's I don't even the one saying where like the main character Wesley says, and they just wanted me to like say that, and I was like, okay, I mean that's cool, but it's like that's not very deep.
No, yeah, I feel you. Yeah, unless you're going to really build a huge audience on TikTok doing that, you know, I would think that could open up some doors in Hollywood. But I think if you build a following on either account, it's probably going to open up a lot of doors.
Yeah, I'm I'm trying to like get more. Like obviously, like I said, it's hard to like putting so much time into TikTok while I'm not like necessarily getting any monetary benefit from it. But it's definitely something I want to do on growing like both accounts, because I kind of want to keep my Uncle Dan account to more of like I said, just like logical like breakdowns, but like some satire stuff too. And then like the other account is more just like shit posting, whatever the hell I want to put on there.
You should try jumping on the memes and stuff though. See if you can make some of your points. That's what I try to do. If you've seen, you know, I'll make points, but I'll do it in a meme format with a song and kind of a joke format. You should try to take some of your points and do that, because those do a lot better than a lot of, you know, oftentimes too, the things you put the most work into never
that is frustrating when you're like, oh, this is a good idea, and I'll actually like put some time into it, and it just like it flops, and I was like, god damn, that video that I literally didn't even take a second thought on, like
here's a bug
12 times better.
A bug on its back.
Literally the fucking bug on its back. Like I was like, oh, maybe some people like this, and then I'm just like, 1 million views, what the fuck is that?
Well, you know, a lot of people have made that mistake, and then they just run with it, and then they're like, this is my thing now, I'm the bug man forevermore. So at least you're resisting that urge.
Well, there is some people where it's just like they'll do something, or it's not like a bug, it's like it's a lot of like shock value that it gets a bunch of views, and they're like, this is my thing now, and then people are like, no, it was only shocking one time. Now it's just like uncomfortable for us. Then it becomes it's like, nah, you probably shouldn't make all of your content based off of purely shocking people. And that's kind of like that one where that Kramer, the guy from SNL, Kramer, where he had that one stand-up where he said the N-word, and then he got a couple shock laughs, and then he was like, I'm gonna keep saying it, and they're like, no,
that was that was Seinfeld. Yeah, he was that. I brought that up in a live stream recently, and I had kids see it, and they were like, oh my god, that is the most awkward bombing ever. And I used to do stand-up comedy, so I kind of know the feeling of bombing, and I know.
Oh, dude, I've done it too, man.
Yeah, it's rough. But you
get like sweaty and you're like hot and you're just like, oh my god.
And he's just grabbing. It sucks that forevermore he's known as that, and it's like they treat him like he's a terrible racist, and maybe he is and maybe he isn't. But also he could have just been at his lowest bombing moment, and he was just reaching for anything. Yeah, he was just grasping at straws. And that one. That's South Park. If you've seen that South Park episode about it, he's the N-word guy.
I love
South Park's great.
So I can't wait till they tackle 2020. This upcoming season is gonna be one to watch for sure.
It has been a crazy year for sure. All right, bro, we are way over an hour now. Is there anything you want people to do? Follow you on Instagram, follow you on TikTok? What do you want people to find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm Ryan James Hilt, and that's also actually my other profile on TikTok. And then Uncle Dan is obviously the profile, you know. So go ahead and follow me on those two. And
yeah, guys, follow him. He's good. He's similar to Papa Gut, and make sure to mention him in every one of Papa Gut's posts until Papa Gut recognizes it.
In here, come on, man.
I vouch for this guy. He's a cool dude. You guys should be friends. Mix your audience.
Throw me a bone, Papa.
Throw him a bone. He's working hard. And don't give up, dude. I like your shit. I think it's good. It's a crazy game, but just don't fall into the trap of just posting bug videos. Keep doing what you're doing. I think it'll work.
Yeah, I'll keep it to 25% bug videos.
Yeah, that actually might be the move. All right, dude. Man. It was good talking to you. We'll do this again soon, and I'll let you know when this is
absolutely.
up.
This was fun. It was
awesome, man. And tell your mom I said hi.
All right. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Bye, Mom.
All right.
Later, dude.
Bye, man. Good one.